Super. Welcome, everybody. So this is a quite short presentation, and from what I understood, is the first one in a series. And I will talk today about an open source project under the Apache Foundation, the Apache Foundation NuttX Real-Time Operating System. This project is quite dear to my heart, and now with the upcoming regulations, there will be some impact. And talking with the other developers, I realized that there is a lack of knowledge in the community, and then I try to help them. Who am I? I am an open source advocate. I am a member of several communities. I'm the chair of the Apache NuttX project, and I currently work as an open source software architect in the Sony OSPO in Sweden. Yeah. I guess that one question would be what NuttX RTOS is, because most of you don't work with embedded systems. So I have a quite small description. It's a real-time operating system with a very small footprint. You can think it as a small Linux implementation, but is real-time. It is focused on standards and compliance. It works on really small systems or bigger systems. It's available on more than 400 boards. It has a good community, welcoming community, and it's used in commercial products. And that is the part that I will stress quite a lot in this presentation. It's the base for commercial products, even though it's open source and maintained by the community. The operating system has been released under BSD license by the author, Gregory Nutt, in 2007. In 2019, it has been donated to the Apache Software Foundation. We graduated as a top-level project under the Apache license. Here is worth noting that we changed the license, which needed quite a lot of work. And the current governance for the project is a project management committee. So the project management switched from one person to a group of people that can steer the project. As I mentioned, it is used in products, and at least for Sony, it has been used in digital audio recorders. Fitbit built the smartwatch based on it. We have it used in drones, robots, protection equipment, RFID readers, fiscal printers, basically everywhere where an embedded system is needed. It has been forked by Tizen RT, Samsung, and by Google when they built Google Ara. Since we are completely open, we know about the companies using our product, our operating system, and the use cases for it only when the companies step up and they say, we have this in our product. Some of those companies come in the yearly community meeting and they present what they built on the on top of the operating system. And then we have Sony and Xiaomi contributing quite a lot along the time, during the time. Also, it's worth noting that it has landed on the moon in a small robot built by the Japan Space Aerospace Agency, and it was used, which was using a Sony hardware, this presence board. So one part is the commercial. It is based for products. And then the other part is the licenses. We changed the license. As you can see, there is the license distribution and migration on different versions. Each of those versions came at 3 months apart. So it's quite a lot of time until we reach license maturity. And since we have the commercial focus, we want to be an open source project, which is the base for products. And it should be fairly easy to use in a product. Then as a community, we started looking at SBOMs. For most of you, an SBOM is quite known, so I will just leave the text on screen for later, but I will not go into the details. And then in the community, you have various people coming from different companies which have different opinions regarding the SBOM, from it's cool to have to I don't care, we don't use it yet. So it was quite a journey to decide what we want to implement and how we want to implement. There are several SBOM types. Some of them apply, some of them don't apply to this kind of activity. So we decided that the source and build SBOMs are the ones to pursue. For our code, in our case, we are providing source code, and then the company has to build components, build on top of them, generate the SBOM, generate the product, and then put on the market both the product with a software release and an SBOM for the product, or the companies will be required from 2026 to do that. So we were looking what do we need for the SBOM. We had identified that we want to use the SPDX standard for the SBOM. That was one of the things that we identified. We identified that there are two major versions for the SBOM. We decided to start with the older one, which is easier to implement, and then basically go with the versions. And we did a study of what do the other RTOSs implement, both commercial RTOSs and open source ones. And quite a good reference was Zephyr, which is the biggest RTOS in this moment. We are the second one. And we decided that there are very few RTOSs that are active. We saw that from the numbers. And then we saw that only FreeRTOS and Zephyr are providing an SBOM, while we didn't. So we started working in this area. So first thing first was to add SPDX identifiers on all our licenses, on all files. It is a tedious work because we had to check thoroughly the licenses. And we added, in the perfect case, the SPDX identifier Apache 2.0, since we are an Apache project, and everything was fine. But then we ended up with code that is old, and it has quite a lot of contributors. It has a license that is not that common, 0BSD. So that required a bit more work and collaboration. Also, we ended up with projects which have multiple license files that have multiple licenses in one file. Again, less known licenses, OER. And for some cases, we even had to define our own identifier, and we contributed the identifier back to the SPDX database. Because the idea is that not us should know about this identifier, but we should be recognized when another product implements the SBOM, and the SBOM should be interchangeable and interoperable. And then, since we had all this information on what we wanted to do as a community, we had to pick a few things. First of all, as a community, we had to check a lot what is implemented, where, and how. So we picked the SPDX version 2.3. We defined our objectives. We wanted to make the SBOM fully automated. We wanted to use the existing build system. We wanted the SBOM to be in JSON format so that it's easier for us to generate and for others to process. We collected file hashes, licenses, and relationship for both sources and the build artifacts. And then we started looking on how you actually should implement it, because the OpenChain has a quite nice description on how the SPDX should be formatted and implemented. They also have quite nice examples. So every information that we gathered helped us to define our own parser and fill up the JSON. So on the screen, you have an example on an automatically built header for our project. Then different information collected from files used at build time. There are also some aspects that impacted a bit because we are dependent on other open source projects, and we realized that not open source projects have the information and the SPDX identifiers implemented. So we have a plan to at least contact the maintainers of those projects and maybe lend a hand. I don't know in this moment. But we realized that it has to be a collaborative work. Otherwise, it will be really hard. So all those are findings from the community and working together with the community. As a community, we realized that the available SBOM information, it may be overwhelming for an engineer that works on embedded system. All this may be information that it's overwhelming and you have to spend some time researching. The OpenChain and SPDX communities are amazing, and if you have any work related to this, go and speak with them. It's amazing. The SPDX identifier may be missing for your dependencies. As I mentioned, we have open source dependencies, and not all of them have SPDX identifiers. And maybe something that it's good for everybody. Join the open source community. Thank you. I hope that which is unique, that is your product.
So my name is Harmony, and I'm a project manager. So I'm just going to explain the steps that basically for the contribution outlined for the OS open source and business contribution guide, like open source business white paper. So I looked at the fact that these are people might not really have time, and the best way to fast track the results or what we intended to do for the white paper is to work in groups, basically like little groups. So I divided like the contribution to like three positions where we have the group chairs. These group chairs are going to be focused on having like a team of people that will contribute to either a section of the white paper or a topic of interest. Then we have participants. Participants are the group participants are just going to be anybody that have interest in a particular section of the white paper based off the outline that has already been written. And you work together with the group chairs. And then we have reviewers. Reviewers are just basically a group of persons that intend to review the work the group have done based off the requirements that we all have agreed on, right? And to facilitate the progress, the group chairs just have to have like a 5 to 10 minutes presentation whenever there's a touch call, tell us what they have done so far and what are the challenges, and everybody together, regardless of the group or their interests, would come together to present solutions to these problems that the group are actually facing. And the good thing about this this contribution guideline technique is we get to work on different chapters at a time, even in this space of like 2 weeks, which gives us better results and faster way of releasing the white paper beyond intended. So if we actually plan to release it in like 6 months, when there are different groups working on different chapters, we could release it in 3 months. Basically, yeah, these are it. I don't know if there's any question.
Yeah, and also align. So these calls will be the like this touch point to present the same way that Harmony is presenting now. This, having like these chairs, these representatives to also share like okay what we have done this month, and also in order to facilitate like what are the tasks. we have created these milestones that are based on the outlines that the community defined in 2024. So people can work at sync. And then what we will need will be like people volunteering to become these chairs to lead one of these milestones and be able to present during today's Touchpoints.
The good thing is, as a group participant, you could be a member of different groups regardless of what you're doing. So it gives you like the flexibility to either be a chair in this group and be a participant in the next group, and also be a reviewer, because we would all be reviewing together typographical errors, requirement, and also in the touch call, we get to, dissect the problems that we're facing and to see if we actually met the scope and the milestone.
Just could you please share again in which repositories we can find those milestones, because there are now so many and to the group that I was a little bit...
So because we have so many repos, what we are trying to do with these new working groups and with this new initiative is we centralize everything in the OSPology repo. So we have the OSPO Book, that is the other working group we have, and then we have white papers folder. Here you will find everything. All the milestones and so on, they're aggregated into Open Source in Business Guide project. So this way you can also see a roadmap of the milestones and issues that I mentioned earlier that are aggregated based on the outlines.
Okay, thank you. I found it.
Awesome. So the other update is related to the OSPO book. If you go to the repo, you will see a nice layout on what has been done. So in what is next, there are two paths. One is building a physical version of what is now deployed in the website. And the other thing is to keep making updates and progress on new chapters, on curating content. And that area is where Fernando wanted to share some details.
My name is Fernando. It's a pleasure to participating here. It's my first time. Alice and I, we had our first conversation this week. Our intention is to know each other, our interests and backgrounds, and aligning goals. We will meet weekly to plan and have visualized our progress about the goals. And the initial idea is to review the content and validate links. We will search for opportunities for the other members to make interested in participate. We will starting now, the very beginning.
Hi folks, I'm Swastik Barwal. I've been active in the Slack server, if you guys have seen. So I wanted to ask one question. If I'm want to discuss about adding more content to any existing chapter, whom should I discuss with?
Are you in the OSPO Book chapter in the Slack channel? Right. Okay. So as Fernando mentioned, they're gonna start meeting every week or every 2 weeks.
Every week.
Thank you. Fernando, we can catch up later.